Hello, welcome to Community Matters. I am your host and honored to be here with you. My name is Becky Steinbrunner, and I will be here with you for the next 2 hours. I want to first thank our place here, the Satellite Workplace and Digital Media Center. It is a wonderful place. If you are looking for a clean, quiet, and very secure place to work remotely, either before an hour, a few hours, a day, a week, whatever you need, or to have small meetings in a quiet, safe, clean place, Satellite Workspace and Digital Media Center is the place. You can also have your mail deposited here. It's at 325 SoCal Avenue in Santa Cruz. That's located between Ocean Street and the lovely San Lorenzo River in Santa Cruz. So come check it out. The second Wednesday of every month is free to come try it out, and you can always just pop in during business hours and ask for a tour. They're very helpful, very friendly people here. Satellite Workspace and Digital Media Center. All right, I would like to let you know a little bit about what we're going to be doing today here on Community Matters. And again, thank you for listening in. I'm very honored to have the guests today. In the first hour, they will be calling in, and this will be Miss L'Oreal Wetzel and Natasha Herzig from Arukah Project. They will describe what Arukah Project is, but basically we will be talking about their excellent work to help people who have escaped or want to escape from human trafficking, which is essentially slavery, human slavery, both sex trafficking and labor trafficking. We will be talking a little bit about the recent Santa Cruz County Civil Grand Jury report about that. The title of that is Human Trafficking in Santa Cruz County, Voices Unheard, Signs Unseen. It is going on here in Santa Cruz County. As much as we don't want to think about it, it is here. And these good ladies, L'Oreal Wetzel and Natasha Herzig, are working in our community to help with prevention and helping those to escape and heal. They'll be our guests the first hour. The second hour, I will have in-studio guests from an organization called the Long-Term Recovery Group. It is also a nonprofit in our community, and their good work is helping people from the CZU fire and the 2023 floods to rebuild their homes and rebuild their lives. So we've got wonderful people in our community that are working to help our community, and today the spotlight will be on them and their good work. My first guest from Arukah Project will be calling in today and in a little bit. So I will take this moment to let you know that I'm taking a little bit of a break from my normal weekly discussion and report about the Moss Landing battery fire disaster. It has not gone away, believe me. But next week, my guests will be both talking for both hours about that. The first hour's guest at 2 p.m. will be Mr. Scott Smith, talking about the recent sampling that he has done, determining the levels of contaminants in the soils around the Moss Landing fire that began January 16th of this year. And he has determined there are some very, very problematic levels of contamination near that fire. He'll be my guest next week, the first hour. The second week will be Mr. David Horowitz from the California Arts and Science Institute, talking about a very important event coming up on October 8th, put on by the California Arts and Science Institute in Monterey, with a panel talking about what happened at the Moss Landing fire and how it has affected people and what we can do as a community to link arms and hold the agencies who are supposed to be testing the air, testing the water and the soils, and watching over public health and safety, and maybe haven't been doing such a great job. But we can get involved and we can make a change, and we must keep talking about this. So I have been talking about the Moss Landing Moss 300 battery energy fire disaster every week. But I will take a bit of a break, other than what I'm doing now, next week, to honor my full 2 hours to this topic. I will tell you that and I'm here waiting for my callers from the Arukah Project to come in. I did attend, as many others did, the Tuesday Monterey County Board of Supervisors meeting, where the EPA, federal EPA, finally gave a presentation about the cleanup effort and what is planned for that. All right, that will, you can go on the Monterey County website, Board of Supervisors website, and click on the September 16th meeting. It was a 1:30 scheduled event or presentation that started 1 hour late, but you can watch it. And now I'm delighted to see my guests for the first hour, Natasha Herzig and L'Oreal Wetzel, calling in. Let me see if I can connect them here. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Excellent. Hi, Natasha. This is Becky. And I think L'Oreal is calling in now. Let me connect her.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Oh, it's an honor to have you here. Hello, L'Oreal. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you both for calling in. I am so honored to have you spend time here talking with our Community Matters listeners about yourselves, the work you do, and what is going on in our community in terms of human trafficking, and what we all can do to address this problem. So, first of all, L'Oreal, as the executive director, I'd like to ask you to begin, and then just introduce yourself a little bit about what you do, what the Arukah Project is, and then we'll pivot over to Natasha. Thank you.
That sounds amazing. Thank you, Becky, so much for having us. So yes, my name is L'Oreal, and I am the founder and executive director of Arukah Project, a 501c3 nonprofit here in Santa Cruz combating sex trafficking. And we have a lot of different programs in the realm of anti-trafficking. So first and foremost, we're super passionate about prevention and education. So we have a lot of trainings and education programs through our training and education program called Truth to Freedom. On top of that, we also are very passionate about rescue and recovery. So we have a 24/7 hotline that any victim can access at any time. And we're very much partnered with our local law enforcement. So if someone does reach out in need of help, in need of rescuing, we're able to figure out hopefully where they're at, and then we partner with the local law enforcement to help actually get them out. And then once they have been rescued, or perhaps there is another rescue where then we are brought in afterwards, we offer aftercare resources, including legal resources. We help them find shelter. We help them get in emergency medical care if they need it. We also offer resources for trauma-informed therapy. Of course, we have incredible partners in our community that can then help us get them food and clothing and their basic needs met. And finally, we also we are a licensed foster family agency in the state of California, and it's how we work with trafficked children who are in the foster care system. So we are licensed to care for children ages 0 to 18 and the non-minor dependents 18 to 21.
Wow. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Natasha, thank you for being here. Will you please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your work with Arukah?
Yes, my name is Natasha, and I am the Deputy Director of Arukah Project. I am also the Justice Advocate. So what I do is I'm kind of the liaison between the investigating agency and our victim. And so I encourage reporting, but also encourage cooperation throughout the investigation, because it can be very challenging with what the level of trauma that these victims have gone through. They definitely need somebody who can help them navigate that entire system, the judicial process. But then also, as victims come to us, they don't even know what they want. And one of the things that we have recognized at Arukah Project is how important justice is, and that what that can bring to them is a closure that they didn't even know existed, and a freedom to finally say, I was believed, I am believed, and I am worthy of justice just like everyone else, because society has a difficult time wanting to have that conversation, because a lot of times these victims are, because of what they're forced to do, they're seen as outcasts. And society doesn't find them worthy of justice. It doesn't find them worthy of fighting that fight for them and to have that representation with that demographic. And, what people don't understand is that these are victims who are in every different walk of life. It is not just this type of demographic that we're talking about. It is everything. We're students that are on scholarships in Ivy League schools, doctors, law students, lawyers, all different walks of life. And so if you think that, well, your kid has it together, they're going off to college, and you think this cannot happen to them, you are sadly mistaken and setting them up to possibly become a victim of sex trafficking and sexual exploitation.
Wow. This is a very sobering topic, and a lot of people just don't want to think about it. They don't want to believe that it's happening in Santa Cruz County. I have seen the recent Santa Cruz County Civil Grand Jury investigative report that came out in late June, Human Trafficking in Santa Cruz County, Voices Unheard, Signs Unseen. I'm sure that you've seen that report too, and I think you have you talked about that with others? Are you going to respond to that report?
Well, we did respond. We did respond to the report. And I think one of the main takeaways from the grand jury report, number one, we were so happy that something like that was published, investigated and published, because what it did is it brought to light the lack of resources, the lack of communication that is happening in our county, in our community, and how many people really think it's not happening when we're getting 5 to 7 calls a week. And what's happened is now there's neighboring organizations and agencies that are getting victims, and they're not equipped to handle the level of trauma that these victims have. And so they're needing our assistance. So we are being pulled in all these different directions. And at the same time, as the experts in sex trafficking and sexual exploitation in Santa Cruz County, and being survivor-led, it is interesting how everybody wants our resources, but the county hasn't funded us in any capacity. And, we have really, really tried to, people see our work and everybody needs our expertise and our help, but, we have never been busier and never been broker, because we are extending our services now to other organizations because they are in need. We have victims that we will find another program they can get into, and then that program calls us and is like, wait a minute, like, we can't handle this level of trauma. We kind of need to give that victim back to you. Or we need your assistance on this. Or so it's not just the active rescues that we're doing where we're trying to rescue these victims, but it's also now having to walk alongside those victims that are already in other programs because they need us too, because they don't feel understood, which is completely, I mean, it's normal to not feel understood.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are not extremely informed and educated in the specific trauma of sex trafficking and sexual exploitation, those victims know it and they see it and they feel it.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a, you know, just this underlying need in Santa Cruz County that's not being met. And you have this organization like us at Arukah Project that is doing everything they can 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to make sure that we do not say no to any victim that calls our hotline, to any family that reaches out and calls our hotline saying this is happening to our child, we don't know what to do, and to any organization that calls our hotline or law enforcement or agency that needs our assistance. And we don't want to say no because we couldn't imagine that, okay, well, we've helped 10, but the 11th person that called us this week, we just can't do it. And we don't ever want to be in that position. And it can be a burden that I don't think anybody else could truly understand until they've been in this situation. Mm-hmm. A burden that we carry when we have a victim reaching out, hiding underneath a bridge in Santa Cruz County, scared, running away from her trafficker with an injury and saying, please help me, I have nowhere to go. Or a victim who is in Santa Cruz County who was brought here by somebody who is in the county, and now we're trying to do everything we can to protect her life in every capacity because this person has the resources to find her. Yeah. And the lives that are in danger that even L'Oreal and myself, when we're asked to go to court and testify on behalf of these victims, where our faces are shown and these traffickers see us, mm-hmm. and we know what those consequences could be for us. And, you know, having lawyers call us and us saying, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's it looking like for our safety? And them saying, isn't this your job?
Yes.
And knowing we have to carry that burden because it is our job. If no one's going to protect and advocate for these victims, it's going to be L'Oreal and I.
Wow. It's very dangerous work. I'm hearing that. And not only for the victims who try and want to get out and end up going back. That was the thing that I read in the grand jury report, that many victims who do escape return because they don't have the support that they need to stay out. And I'm sure there is a myriad of things, and you probably understand that much better than I. But do you want to talk about that a little bit?
So there's obviously multiple reasons why they go back, right? But one of the main ones, and this is the thing, we'll never be able to keep somebody from going back. It's humanly impossible. But we could decrease how many times they go back if we were able to have a place of our own. Mm-hmm. Where these victims felt seen, they felt heard, and they felt understood. And that's one of the most important things, you know, when we created a support group called SOS Survivor the Streets, we did not realize how long of a waiting list that it would become, with people reaching out and other agencies reaching out and wanting their trafficking victims to be part of this support group. It's so overwhelming that we've had to have a waiting list, and that's because no matter, it's wonderful that all these programs take in trafficking victims, mm-hmm. but because it's not their main expertise or focus, they kind of they're just dealt with. Like, okay, this is your shelter, but we don't know how to help you navigate this trauma. And if Arukah had a place in the county, then we would be able to house these victims. And, you know, when you have places for victims to go, it decreases homelessness, it decreases victimization, and it decreases just crime in general, right? So
Yeah.
it's being able to have a place where these victims feel understood. But then also, it's hard to take them out of a life they've had to learn to survive and know and think, okay, now just come into the real world, it will be just fine. It's not just fine. There is trauma there, and sometimes the trauma is so painful that they rather go back to what they know than to come and confront all of the pain that they've had to deal with to survive.
Wow.
And so it's one of the many reasons they go back. And, you know, again, we wouldn't be able to say that every victim that came to us wouldn't go back, but I could say that it would decrease the chances of them returning multiple times if they were able to have a place like Arukah Project, a place that we had where we could house them and let them know this is a sex trafficking, trauma-informed, safe place for them to be. And, you know, it's very difficult because, you know, these victims are someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's friend, and they're human beings.
Yeah.
And, you know, the families, the parents have a very difficult time understanding, like, they come from good homes. I mean, we've seen law enforcement's kids, celebrities' kids, professional athletes' kids, rich kids, poor kids, all different colors of kids. Trafficking does not discriminate.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And now with social media, they're, you know, your kids are just, they're put up on a platter for these predators.
I read the grand jury's discussion of that, and it was shocking to read that the social media is really predatory, and that these traffickers are very, very skilled at seeking the weak, the vulnerable parts of every youth. They all exist, and as the report said, it isn't, and as you are saying, it isn't just a certain demographic. It is every youth on social media.
Yes, and you know, we can tell you that there are traffickers that come from all different walks of life and communities, and they are people we see every day that we work with in our community.
Yes. I happened to hear this week a BBC investigative report about a London bus driver that became a trafficker and became very wealthy, setting up a business where he brought young Ugandan women who were very poor to Dubai. And that was a shocking report. I heard it, and I was talking with my husband about it this morning, and I went online to try and find it. There were some horrible things in that written report that they did not put out over the air. But these are horrible conditions. And what I really want you to talk about is, L'Oreal, please jump in. This is happening in Santa Cruz County.
Oh, yes, and I will tell you that one of the girls that was brought to Santa Cruz County by somebody who lives in Santa Cruz County, a young girl, was brought here from a different country and in the Middle East, and kept here as a sex slave. And when she was finally able to escape, I won't go into the details of that, but because of the culture and the country that she came from, it was reported back to her family and to the government. And if she is sent back, she will most likely be imprisoned or executed for a crime that was committed against her, that she was tricked.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
And
goodness.
so, yes. And so this, again, this is in Santa Cruz County. These are the things that we have to burden to, but also know that L'Oreal and I cannot give up. Like,
Yeah.
we have to just keep going, because we are going to continue to have the conversations society doesn't want to have,
Yeah.
because society doesn't want to have that conversation until it happens to them.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that there is somebody listening, because this is how sexual exploitation happens. There's somebody listening right now that will know someone eventually, or it will happen to somebody they know, or know somebody that it's happened to, that they know someone's happened to, because that's how it happens. And somebody in your life will always, at some point, will be touched by sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
Even if it's not now or in the next 5 years, maybe 10 years. And then this conversation that L'Oreal and I constantly have to have, it comes back to haunt people. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes things happening for people to be forced to say, wait a minute, I don't want this to happen to somebody I love or to me.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. You talked about all these other agencies that are coming to you because you are informed and experienced, and you understand what really needs to happen to help these people. These other agencies are coming. Are they funding you for that work?
No.
Wow.
No.
Wow. Well, that's certainly an interesting thing.
But they are getting funding from the county.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. I saw some of the responses on the September 9th Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors in the consent agenda. They had their Board of Supervisors, the county DA, and the county sheriff's response to this grand jury report. And I don't know, were you able to see that?
I was not, no.
Yeah, I will send you the link. Some may be hopeful. They didn't just say no, 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 as they often do. There were a lot of requires further analysis, and the grand jury report focused quite a bit on the state-required signage in windows of certain places, hospitals, hotels, and things like that. The grand jury did not see very much compliance with that, and they actually recommended that I think that your organization have your contact 24/7 contact put on that sign, because they had such a hard time when they tried to test out the number that is on the sign when the sign is up. Hard time getting through. So you are local, and
we are.
Yeah. Can you provide that service if your contact was to be added to local signs for trafficking victims to call?
So our response to the grand jury report did discuss that we do have a poster available once the county figures out what direction they want to go with this, and if this is something they want to enforce and require. We do have something ready and available. The thing is you can't ask the only people that specialize in sex trafficking and sexual exploitation, who are the experts in Santa Cruz County, and not help fund them.
Yeah. Talk with us.
Right. So we, on average, Becky, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Please.
I was
please
waiting
do.
for a break. So on average, we receive 5 to 7 calls a week. Just our organization alone, if not more. That's just on average what we receive. So we know that our hotline already is being accessed by victims who somehow get a hold whether it's a computer or a phone, or they escape and make it and are able to contact our hotline one way or another. And so, of course, when we read the grand jury report, we were like, oh my goodness, yes, we would love to have our hotline posted up in places. We would absolutely love to get more of this out there, because the people that we're serving are not just in Santa Cruz County, but we've served clients all over the state of California, all over, the United States. I get messages on our hotline from victims in Washington where I have to try and pinpoint their location. They're asking me to get them to Santa Cruz. And as Natasha stated, if we had a home or a shelter of our own, that is something that we'd be able to offer more. That's one of the most requested resources that we get on our hotline is, do you have a place for me to go? Or upon a rescue, when we're called in, even if we're not the ones doing it, the victims then turn to us as the experts and the advocates that are coming in to help them. Do you have a bed for me to sleep in? That's become the number one requested. It has been the number one requested, especially since the pandemic. And it's been something that we've been working very hard for a while, but especially in 2025, it was our goal to try and fundraise or somehow get a grant to be able to open up a shelter, whether it's community, Santa Cruz community funding, whether it's state funding, whether it's donor funding. That became one of our top priorities in 2025. And then when we read the grand jury report, our response was, those posters are ready to go, but we also do need to have a place for them to go, because we know if we're already getting so many calls a week just from the limited access to our 24/7 chat, which is social media, our website, our brochures that are out there, on our business cards, to be able to post it in hospitals and restaurants and businesses, we would need to be able to have a place to be able to say, yes, we have a bed for you, and it's with Arukah staff, and it is safe, and it's with people who understand you. You will be safe there, because it would not be fair to put those posters up all over Santa Cruz County, knowing we'd get more calls every single week, but not be able to have the safety net to catch them when that happens. And so we are more than willing to, and this was, one of our answers on the grand jury report, is we are ready. We have the posters. They're ready to go. We are, though, at the same time, trying to get a place open so that we can have that answer of, yes, we have a bed for you. It also decreases the chances of them choosing to stay if they know that they have a bed to go to with someone that they trust. On average, a trafficking survivor will go back to the life 7 to 12 times before they trust someone else to get them out, and they actually mean what they mean when they say, we're trying to help you. I have been on calls where if I don't have the actual answer of, yes, I have a place for you, I can either get an automatic click or the messages stop coming through, because they may not trust the opportunity to leave if we can't guarantee their safety. The risk is just too great. And so if they have an opportunity to reach out on our hotline, we want to be sure we have everything in place and ready to go so that we can decrease that potential opportunity of them saying, no, I'm not going to go with you. We want to increase the opportunity for them to escape and to get out. And one of those things is to have a shelter and a bed with people that understand their trauma that they've been through, and that I can confidently say, yes, we have a place for you, and it is safe, and you will be safe. So please trust us and come with us.
Yeah. You mentioned that when someone calls you, you might send law enforcement to help rescue them. I wondered what are your thoughts about non-law enforcement, like fire department assistance? Does that ever happen because of the fear some of the victims may have of law enforcement for various reasons?
So what happens with our rescues is sometimes it is literally just L'Oreal and I rescuing them. And then we contact law enforcement. If it's somewhere we just can't get to them in the sense of helping them get out, we can contact law enforcement. But on a flip side of things, when I do train our first responders, our fire departments, I do train them on being able to identify sex trafficking victims, because what happens is in sex trafficking, law enforcement is the enemy. And so it allows the fire department to have access to them in a way that if their traffickers are present, their traffickers are going to have their guard down a little bit because they know, well, the fire department isn't going to arrest us. So it allows the fire department to gain access in a way if they see these red flags that I've trained them on, just all these things in these hours-long training that I go over, to say, hey, I'd like to take a look, let's say, at your arm in the back of the ambulance. Is that okay? And that trafficker is less likely to say, well, I'm going to go with you, or no, she can't, or she's going to look at him and answer to the fire department and say, no, I don't feel comfortable. She is most likely going to be like, oh, okay, that's fine. And the trafficker is most likely going to say, okay, that's fine. And then that allows them to have that separation, and then to be able for the fire department, if need be, contact law enforcement and get them on scene.
Yeah. Is Arukah Project training local fire responders, firefighters for this in our county?
Our county specifically, we have not trained them. I would say that there is a huge need for our law enforcement and our fire department to seek human trafficking training. Yeah. And that would be on them if they find it a priority or not. I mean, we can only do so much as an organization when we go to events and say, hey, we have these trainings, this is what we do. For example, we just got back from being out of town on a case in California where 450 victims were identified, college-aged girls.
Oh, my. And,
we are in a problem here. And, again, it's something that if you are not trained to see, like now I have a federal law enforcement agency, like their units now, it's not just their crime task forces that are wanting training. It's like their espionage treason units that they're wanting training now, because they're saying as they're doing surveillance on specific crimes they're looking for, they feel like they might be seeing sex trafficking, but they don't know what to look for. So now they want to be able to say, wow, we've identified sex trafficking, even though they're, let's say, looking at their job is to, just identify surveil other types of crimes. And so there are agencies that are widening their scope, being like, if we're watching these criminal organizations or these people and these criminals, there might be sex trafficking there, and I want to know if we're seeing it. And so while there are agencies all over the country that are seeking our resources, there is still a need in Santa Cruz County that I think just they maybe haven't really understood that need. But like I said with the grand jury report, it really did say basically, everybody, you need to come together and talk about this because there's a need here. And so until we can all come together and talk about these needs, we are all kind of on our own islands right now.
Wow. That was one thing that the grand jury report brought to light, too, that agencies like the Office of Education has not been holding these monthly meetings to bring everybody involved to the table. That it'd been in hiatus for over a year. So that was quite concerning to learn. And
yes.
While the responses from the sheriff and the DA say, yeah, we'll participate as soon as somebody else calls the meeting, that was a little bit interesting to learn too. So what?
Well, I think.
Please go ahead.
I think on their end, because we have worked with the district attorney's office and they have been wonderful, and we have not ever had any issues with them. I think they're being respectful in the sense that they're not the people to lead this. They're not. Those are not the people. It's their responsibility, but it's not their responsibility in the sense that it's not for them to stand up and say, oh, let's put this together. Their law enforcement is there to assist, and they're there to assist and enforce. And I think if people started understanding that us at Arukah, that we should be the leaders in the community when it comes to this particular demographic and this particular criminal activity, we can bring everyone together We have never, dealing with any local law enforcement, including the sheriff's department, we've never had any pushback, no, you don't, I mean, like, I do want to say it has always been pleasant working with anybody from any local law enforcement. We have never had any issues, but also at Arukah Project, we are one of the very few that truly do believe in and partner with our law enforcement agencies. And we work closely with them because, again, like I explained earlier, how important justice is for these victims, because it allows them to feel believed and to be validated when society says, you're not worth it. So I think while there are things lacking on that end, I think our community needs direction. And, Arukah is willing to lead and give that direction, but people have to be willing to take that direction and say, okay, these are leaders in our community. These are the experts in our community. Obviously we're lacking in these areas. How can we support Arukah in their mission and to be able to, save our community and the other communities that reach out to Arukah because of our expertise and being survivor-led, which does make us unique in our experiences and being able to allow victims to truly understand that at Arukah, you are family. You're a family.
Yeah. L'Oreal, do you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I think Natasha nailed it with, it's been such a privilege working with our local law enforcement. They are willing to also, we've had some reach out like, oh my goodness, it's been wonderful working with you. Would you be able to come and train us? And we are so open with working with the different agencies and their different schedules, because working with, first responders, they have different schedules. Working with local law enforcement, they have different schedules, but they've been so open and flexible with, what we can do. We're open and flexible with what they can do, because this information is so vital to be able to rescue more victims. And, traffickers don't want that. They don't want communities that are aware. They don't want communities that are fighting to be able to be more productive in the prevention of human trafficking, the rescue of already current victims, and the protection of those victims, giving them the resources they need to be able to get out, but also to be able to stay out. Because if you can only stay in a shelter for 72 hours, if you don't think that trafficker is going to wait 3 days for you to get out, you're wrong.
Yeah.
We had a case where a trafficker, we had a client who had to be placed out of town, unfortunately, in a hospital because she just needs some extra help. And the trafficker was outside waiting. And she knew that he was outside waiting because he was making phone calls into the hospital on their line asking for her. And as soon as she heard his voice, she knew exactly who it was. And so they called us. We had to come up with a safety plan of how to keep her safe, make sure he didn't get into the hospital. And so traffickers will do what we believe to be the unthinkable and wait and follow and watch. And so for girls to be rescued by our local law enforcement or by our, first responders who are boots on the ground on the front lines, and then to have people like Arukah Project or other nonprofit organizations be able to provide the safety network of an undisclosed shelter location with case managers and legal resources to be able to pursue justice if that's what they want. It really takes a community and it takes a village to be able to see them, rescue them, and protect them.
Yeah.
And so I was so thankful that the grand jury had talked about that it's not just one person in Santa Cruz. It can't just be a Arukah Project. It has to be the community coming together, wanting to understand what it looks like in our community, because what it looks like here is going to be completely different than what it looks like over the hill at Santa Clara, which is going to be different of how it looks in Los Angeles or San Francisco. So what it looks like here, the community that we have, and what do we have here, and how do we network and partner together to be able to protect the community that we have here? Where does law enforcement get involved? Where does first responders get involved? Where does Arukah Project get involved? Where does the funding go? And how does that get involved? Because we need to be able to create those safety nets, and we can't do that without funding. Rescues are expensive, and therapy is expensive. Everything is all of that. But these victims, they deserve it. We have met such amazing men, women, and children, since the Arukah Project is able to work with men, women, and children from all backgrounds and all ages we've met some amazing survivors who just want to get out. It's just getting them out. And it's having the network and the people and the strength in the community to want to get them out. So I'm so thankful. I myself have not read those responses by the DA's office. And the DA's office has been wonderful in any cases that we've had with them. We've absolutely loved working with them as well. I have not read those responses, but it also doesn't surprise me, their responses of like, yeah, nope, we're ready. Let's do it. As soon as someone calls us in, there is eagerness and there's desire to want to. It's not like we're getting responses of, oh, no, sorry, we don't believe it. That's not really happening here. There's no one saying that. Everyone's agreeing this is happening here. What do we do about it? And I think that's the strength of our community as well, is there's people wanting to know. There's people who may have read the grand jury report or may have heard about Arukah Project, say on the radio or on a podcast, and they're requesting, hey, can we talk to you about it? How does someone like me who has a podcast, how do I get involved? And I'm just like, right there, that question right there shows the eagerness and passion of how this community can be strengthened, because there's people here who want to know how to continue protecting not just our kids, but also our adults, and then how do we rescue the people that are already in it?
Yeah. Thank you. For those of you who have just joined, I'm honored to have as my guests here from Arukah Project, L'Oreal Wetzel and Natasha Herzig, talking about the fine work, the very difficult work and expensive work that they do to help rescue and support people who have been pulled in to what is really modern slavery, sex trafficking. And L'Oreal and Natasha, I want to thank you. I have two questions. You have an event coming up. If you would like to talk with us about that, and then let us know what else we, the community, can do to support Arukah and the excellent work that you do.
Awesome. Yeah, we're so excited. Every year we get to have our fall fundraiser. It is our annual banquet. It is going to be held this year at the Grove, Santa Cruz Event Center. Many people knew that as the Coconut Grove. So please don't be confused at the location. It's the same location, just different name. But it's going to be held at the Grove this year. There's going to be dinner, dessert, a live auction, music and dancing. Stories about the real rescues and the real work that Arukah Project does. This event is 18 and older only because of the information that we share. It is open to all of our partners. If you want to know more about Arukah, if you're already partnered with the Arukah Project and you're just excited to hear, all the work that we've been able to accomplish this year, come on out. If you really want to dive into the nitty gritty of what is here, not just in Santa Cruz, but also just in our state of California, and the work that Natasha and I have done, the people that we've worked with, please come this night. This is the night that we really dive in with some things that maybe we can't share to everybody because of the sensitivity and because of the reality of the story, where some people they may not be able to listen to that. But this night, if we really, really want to know what's happening and what Arukah Project is doing, you definitely want to come to this event. It is our biggest fundraiser of the year. Every penny raised this evening goes to the work that we do. You can find tickets at www.arukahproject.org. And it is open to the public. It is cocktail attire, so come have an amazing meal put on by the Grove. Amazing music from an incredible DJ that's an incredible partner. And we're just so excited. This is going to be on Saturday, October 4th. Doors are going to open at 5:30. The event itself is from 6 to 10. Again, dinner and dancing, live auction. There's a cash bar, yummy dessert, real life stories from victims that we have worked with. And we are just so excited we are so excited for this evening. It's really a chance for us to get real with our partners, for them to really, really know where their partnership is going and what exactly it's going to, and how it's not just changing our community, but changing the world.
Yeah. If people are not available that evening, how else can we learn about Arukah? And please spell Arukah. And how can we help if we can't make it to the wonderful October 4th event?
If you are not able to make it to the October 4th event, you can still partner with us. If you want to go to our website, that is ARUKAH and then project PROJECT.org. You can make a donation to the work. We are funded privately by donors right now. So if you'd like to make a donation to our work, it is tax deductible. If you can't make it to the evening, but you'd like to sponsor a table, if you would like to sponsor a ticket for someone else to be able maybe to come, you can do that. If you are a business and you would like to donate something to our auction, please feel free to reach out. You can, there's our email and our phone number on our website. We're always looking for auction items. So businesses are more than welcome to donate auction items. If businesses also want to sponsor the event, we do have some sponsorship packages still available as well. And you can find out all that information on our website, again, arukahproject.org. And if you want to just find out more about Arukah, you can visit our website. We are so relational. We love talking with people about the work that we're doing, about the important work of Arukah and what's happening here. So you can please feel free to email us, call us on the number that's on the website. We have brochures. I'm always happy to meet people for coffee or anything in Santa Cruz and just talk about what's going on. And if you just want to find out more, like if you want to request a training, we're happy to set up a training for, say, if you have a business. We have local churches who set up training for their congregation. So we have human trafficking 101 trainings. You don't have to be a first responder or law enforcement officer to be able to take our trainings. We do have trainings for, just our community in general. We have trainings for families and kids about how to stay safe online, what to look for. So all of that information that was is on our website.
Excellent. And if there's an educator listening to you right now, how would a teacher contact you for a training at their schools?
They can call us they can reach me with our hotline number at 831-419-2964. They can also email us at info@arukahproject.org and request information on how to set up a training. They can request to chat with me or Natasha to find out more about our trainings and how they work. We have trainings not just for teachers and educators and school staff, but we also have trainings for students of how to just stay safe on their cell phones, because the digital age isn't going anywhere. It's just getting more advanced. So to be able to get to our younger generation and share with them how they can, it's just like driving a car. Before you get the keys to the car, you have to take a lot of lessons and put in a lot of hours. So we have trainings to be able to kind of backtrack a little bit to be able to teach them how to stay safe on all these crazy apps that are out there and online from online predators.
Thank you so much. I cannot believe how quickly this time has gone. We've got 1 minute. Natasha, I'm going to ask you to say a few words and leave a little bit of time for L'Oreal. Thank you both so much.
Well, thank you for having us. Thank you for wanting to have this difficult discussion. And I think that the more we're able to talk about this, the easier it will be for people to want to step up and help, because I know it's a taboo topic. I know it's things that people really don't want to acknowledge because it is just so difficult to understand how people are being forced to be sex slaves. But the truth is, it is happening. It is happening in your community, and it is happening to those that you just don't think it would happen to. And it's happening by those that you would just not think it would be.
Yeah. Thank you so much. L'Oreal, you've got 10 seconds.
Becky, thank you so much for having us on here. It has been such a privilege to be able to chat with you. Yes, this time flew by, and just thank you for being open and wanting to learn more and have this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, L'Oreal Natasha from Arukah Project. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye for now. So we have one seat there for that boom mic, and then this is where two people can share a mic. And if you want to take calls, you can put on the headset. Otherwise, we don't have to have the headset because we'll be talking here.
We should turn off our phones.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is there any water anywhere?
Oh,
Like
yes.
water,
I have water here for the three of you.
Okay.
And I have a thank you
Oh,
candy bar
Was
here.
that chocolate?
Each
Oh my gosh.
chocolate, please.
That looks delicious.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for the work you do and for taking time to come to the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Appreciate
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know if there are certain things you really want to make sure you get out to the listening audience. I'm sorry it took so long to
No,
get you
we
those
saw him, we
questions.
talked about him. Totally fine.
Okay.
We haven't had a lot of time either, so.
You know, I just really think that the
Thank you, Lydia, for your depth perception.
So we
Lean
can do
in.
a test here for a little bit. Why don't you go around and I'll watch this?
Hey, just testing the mic.
Okay. And Lydia and John?
Hello, I'm Lydia.
You'll need to be closer.
Hello, I'm Lydia.
Okay, that's good.
Do you got me?
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Very good. Very good. So,
We want to make sure that we get to highlight our volunteer rebuild program. So I'm the executive director. Dylan and Lydia works primarily with the volunteer rebuild program in the field with volunteers building homes. So we want to make sure that that's highlighted. We need more volunteers. So we want to, if we can, use some of this also to
yes.
incite some interest in the
That's what I
community
really
to come
wanna
out
do
and
here
help us.
today. Yeah. And you'll explain what kind of volunteers you need and what it's like to volunteer.
Yeah.
Things like that. That will be good.
And I think we can sort of weave it in. We looked at the questions. Some of them are a little higher level, so I'll answer those. But in question 3, we can sort of steer it into how do people get involved with you, and then we can move it into the volunteer rebuild program and then go from there. And there's also another, how can you help it towards
Yeah,
the
the
end,
end.
where we can highlight that again.
Excellent. My goal is really to help you get your message out to the public and help people know that you are here because it's really important. The previous guests, we talked about a grand jury report. You folks were also highlighted in a grand jury report the year before. So I might just start off that way a little bit, transitioning from the first hour, which was a very difficult topic.
Yeah, I'm going to
human
pull it
trafficking.
out, actually.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Oh, human trafficking, yeah.
In Santa Cruz County.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The grand jury
Everywhere.
looked at that last year, and so Arukah Project is a local nonprofit that helps people with that.
Yeah.
So you are helping people that are also in a tough situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I will just introduce a little bit about, mention that so people can go and read that and find out more about you, and then you can tell us about you.
Okay.
Did you say that there's people that would call in too?
If you'd like, yes.
I think that's
Fine, yeah,
fine with me.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Here we go. Hello, welcome back. This is your host, Becky Steinbruner, with the second hour of Community Matters, and thank you for being here. The second hour, I am very honored to have here in the studio with me three very fine people from the Long-Term Recovery Group. It's a nonprofit locally here in Santa Cruz, and I'm going to let them tell you, the listeners, what this is all about. But sort of transitioning from the previous hour, wherein we talked a lot about a civil grand jury, Santa Cruz County civil grand jury report on human trafficking, the civil grand jury also looked at what it has been like for the CZU fire victims to rebuild their homes. It was a very interesting investigative report, and in it, they talk quite a lot about the wonderful work that the Long-Term Recovery Group did and has done and continues to do. And just reading on here, the grand jury was impressed by the breadth and volume of services provided by the Long-Term Recovery Group, and was especially impressed by how effectively the Long-Term Recovery Group services complemented those provided by the Santa Cruz County Recovery Permit Center. One public official is quoted as saying, "The Long-Term Recovery Group has been a godsend." So that's from the grand jury report. And now, without further ado, I will turn it over to these wonderful people. I have three. Tanya, why don't you go ahead, and then we'll go to Lydia and Dylan.
Sure. My name is Tanya Schweitzer. I'm the Executive Director of the Long-Term Recovery Group.
And my name is Lydia Morgan, and I'm a disaster case manager and volunteer coordinator for the Long-Term Recovery Group.
Excellent.
And I'm Dylan Childs with the Long-Term Recovery Group. I'm the construction project manager.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for taking time to come to the studio and to talk with our audience about what it is that you do and what services the Long-Term Recovery Group offers. So let's begin by Tanya, why don't you describe what is this group? What is it, and how did it come about? And if others, you two other want to chime in, please. This is a conversation here.
Yeah, so if you Google Long-Term Recovery Group, you will see that they sort of spring up many places where there's been large-scale federally declared disasters. They start out as a collaborative entity between federal, state, and local government and community-based organizations that come together because they're all concerned about the recovery, the disaster recovery of the populations that have been impacted by this disaster. And so our Long-Term Recovery Group stood up after the CCU fire back in 2020 as a collaborative entity, and we operated as such for the first until February of 2023. We incorporated as a nonprofit organization. The reason we did so is because by 2022, the rate of homes being rebuilt was much less than what we wanted.
Yeah.
And we were very interested in instigating and starting up a volunteer rebuild program. So in the fall of 2022, we did a boot camp. So when I say we, it's a steering committee of the Long-Term Recovery Group. So I was currently, at that time, on the steering committee. I was the vice chair of the Long-Term Recovery Group. So along with my steering committee, other members, we invited a Long-Term Recovery Group from Okanogan County in Washington State, who has a very strong and well-functioning volunteer rebuild program, to learn from them. How do we do this? How do we set about to do this? What structures do we need in place? What kind of staff do we need? And one of the first things they said was you need to be a 501c3 nonprofit so you can go after independent funding and hire staff. And so that's what we set out to do. We incorporated, like I said, in February of 2023. We all know what happened in late 2022 and early 2023. We were hit with back-to-back atmospheric rivers, which resulted in two additional federally declared disasters, the winter and spring storms of 2023, as we call them. And so our efforts of standing the volunteer rebuild program was set back a bit because the people that was working to help people recover from the CCU fire was suddenly thrown back into response and relief work. That is what I was working at a different organization at the time, and our organizations that we worked for are organizations that emerging needs is where we thrive, and so when the community need help, we step up. And so we were again doing response and relief work instead of moving this bigger project forward. So it was paused, and then in the fall of 2023, when things, we moved into sort of more long-term recovery functions for the winter and spring storms, is when we picked it back up again. And at that point, I was asked to step down from the steering committee and was hired as the executive director. Spent the next 6 to 8 months building the structures that we needed as an organization. And then we hired Dylan in the summer of 2024 and launched our first project in the fall of 2024. And Lydia came on board in February of this year. So I guess almost newest. We have a very brand new member that just started this week, but of the construction part of things.
Excellent. Tanya, I'm going to ask you to pull the mic a little bit closer to you so that our listeners can make sure to hear you. You say that this all began with we. We decided to come together. Who was and is we?
So we, in terms of the long-term recovery group, began as this collaborative entity. So in the beginning, you have everybody's running to the table, right? You see suffering, everybody's rushing to. And so you have these, then you have FEMA, you have SBA, you have CalOES, California Office of Emergency Services. You have big national organizations. We have Team Rubicon. We have the Mennonites. We have UMCOR. We have lots of Shepherd's Purse. Lots of these bigger national organizations come in to help. After a while, that sort of dies down. There's other disasters that requires that immediate need or immediate support. And so at that point, it is a smaller group that remains. So the core members of the long-term recovery group, sort of from a local perspective, are the case management organizations, so Community Bridges and Catholic Charities.
Local people.
Local nonprofit organizations, exactly. Nation's Finest was one that stayed for a long time. That's a veterans organization that provided mental health support. United Way is an important player in this. So there's some organizations that are CAP, Community Action Board, had disaster case management out of their Davenport location. So there's local organization. Community Foundation is instrumental. They are, if anybody want to donate to disaster relief specifically, they donate. We ask them all to donate to Community Foundation. They have a disaster fund that helps fund the rebuild efforts. If you're in the Valley, you can donate to Valley Churches United, and those are sitting at the Unmet Needs round table and distributing funding for unmet needs directly to clients. So that's some of those players. We also work very closely with the county. We work with Office of Response, Recovery, and Resiliency, and now we're working with the planning department and have collaborated very closely with Four Leaf when Four Leaf was still contracted with the county. So, but the long-term recovery group was really sort of the steering committee, which is comprised of those nonprofit organizations that I mentioned.
Yeah. I remember it's been 5 years since the CZU fire, and there's still a lot of need out there. I'm sure you know. Lydia, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing with the long-term recovery group and how you're helping people?
Sure, yeah. So my role as a disaster case manager and volunteer coordinator, in one part, I'm the disaster case manager on staff for our active rebuild. So the the people that we're building for Tuesday through Thursday during the week, with Dylan as our construction project manager and our volunteers that come on site and want to build with us. I'm there those 3 days a week, and those are the clients for which I am their case manager. So kind of doing really all that there is to do, but finance, budgeting, I'll do draws for construction loans for them if they have those, coordinating with them in terms of where we are in the project, having them sign documents, keeping them up to speed. Really, there's a lot of things that are very relevant in every step of the process, but that's my role as a case manager. And then on the other end, I'm a volunteer coordinator, and a lot of that is just being on site with the volunteers 3 days a week and swinging a hammer with them and, being able to make sure that they're having a really enjoyable experience because they are, so incredibly important to the work that we're doing and the work we hope to continue to do. And then, and in the event that we have multiple projects going on, which we do, then there's an opportunity for us to split off with them, and Dylan can be working with some of them and I can be working with some of them. And we kind of hope to continue growing that moving forward to, help as many people as we can kind of at once. Obviously, there's limitations, but there is such a need, whether that's in South County or up in SLV with the CZU fire. So, that's a little bit about my part in this.
How many people do you have as case manager that you're working with?
I directly case manage just 2 of our clients, but since they're from the ground up builds, and that's kind of where we are throughout the week, predominantly, it's 2 sounds small, but it feels like plenty of work.
That's huge. No, it's not small at all. No, it's huge because you're helping them get their homes and their lives back together. That's huge. Thank you. Dylan, you are the construction project manager, so I'd like to hear what you do and how you help people in the long-term recovery. You can move that mic a little bit closer to you there. Thank you.
Yeah, Lydia and I both come from working with volunteers in construction previously. So I guess my opinion for me, when you have volunteers out there, it's less of a work day and more like we're out there having fun, but we're building, we're able to see what we're doing for the day, which I think a lot of our volunteers feed off of that.
Yeah.
The added part of being able to help somebody and get them home and be a part of that journey with them is, very fulfilling for all of us. But my day to day is, we are building 2 homes from the ground up, which we are part of with every single, nail and plumbing fixture and all that stuff. So a lot of the volunteers are regulars I've worked with in the past. We've gained a rapport together. We know how to work with each other. So we just have fun out there. I mean, it's a good time. And like I said, you get to see what you've done in the day, and people really appreciate that. A lot of our volunteers, construction wasn't in their background as their career. Now that they're retired, they want to come out and do something. Some of them are not 100% physically fit to build houses, but they want to be out there and help in any way that they can. And that's such a huge help for us out there to be able to have people that want to come out and build for free, but also they take pride in it. And they want, they want to be doing a good job. They want to be learning. That really helps me teach how to build.
Are the volunteers mostly from this area, or people travel from a ways to come help?
Yeah, so both of our projects are in Boulder Creek. So we have a few volunteers that live in Santa Cruz here. We have a few that live over in the Campbell area. So it's kind of, it's about 30 minutes for both groups to come out. So, some out of county, some in county. All of them worked with me before. So they are pretty skilled as far as home building goes.
That's important, I think.
We definitely need, many hands make light work, right? So to be able to, I can see with, I think we have about 8 regular volunteers that come out Tuesday through Thursday. There's a burnout, there's a fatigue there to that,
Yeah.
There's a lot on these folks for coming out, and the work is pretty heavy, but, they're there. Everybody has a smile on their face, which is, very refreshing for us and for the homeowners too, because they get to see that as well.
Yeah. Do the homeowners come help too?
Yeah, we have one of our projects, the homeowner lives on site in temporary housing. He's there every single day working with us.
Nice.
And then the other project, she is in San Francisco currently, but she comes out on Tuesdays with her child as well, adult child, and works with us.
Yeah, people scattered, didn't they, after the fire? And a lot of them just left, as the grand jury report said. This reminds me a lot of Habitat for Humanity. It's another good organization, but
Absolutely.
You're here locally.
Yeah.
Tanya, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that as well, in terms of, our groups coming in from outside. So we did have a group come in the spring. They were the Northern California Disciples of Christ from a church up in Northern California. And then Dylan and Lydia just did site visits for storm repairs today with a group of United Methodists who are also looking to come in sometime in October, sometime in November, early and late November. And next week, presumably next Saturday, we are doing a host of site visits with Team Rubicon, who is a veteran organization who their motto is "We left the war, but the war didn't leave us," and so they come back and just want to continue doing good work in the community. And what they often do is come into areas right after a disaster and do what they call muck and guts as their core operation. So that's when there's been flooding or hurricanes, they come in and they basically demolish or take out damaged parts of the home. They don't do construction, but they help take it out. And we have not in-house yet, but we will have soon when the federal disaster case management program ends on October 2nd. We will receive all remaining storm cases in-house for our disaster case management, and at that point there's multiple that are coming in that still have, families are living with mold. They're living with mold in their walls, mold in their ceilings, mold on their floors, and extensive damage still from the flooding and the atmospheric rivers, the bomb cyclones that tore through the valley.
Pajaro area.
So Pajaro Valley, yes, because Watsonville is part of Pajaro Valley. Pajaro, the town of Pajaro is in Monterey County, and our jurisdiction ends with the county line. That's what our funding allows us to do. But we're obviously in close communication about what's happening across the county line, but we can't expend resources there because our funding is tied to Santa Cruz County. Yeah.
My goodness. Let me just take a moment and thank you all for your good work and your compassion. I'm sorry. This is bringing back images I have of the first few days of the CZU fire. I worked at the fairgrounds, and it was very difficult. And it's been very difficult to see how hard it has been for the families who got burned out to recover and to get permits. And that's a huge thing that your organization has helped people with. Many people still don't have permits. Talk with us a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's been this demographic of information out there about it being hard to get permits, and that's true to an extent, but I don't want to put that as the blame for why people aren't coming back. A lot of those homes up there that burnt were summer cabins. They had a septic system that was put in at some point. Maybe it's on record, maybe they got a permit for it, maybe not. So there's a lot of red tape that these people had to get through.
And some of the homes were 100 years old.
Yeah.
So they were built before the permitting process existed.
Exactly, yeah. And they didn't get recognized through Santa Cruz County until they got a water meter installed, which in, most of those areas wasn't until the 30s.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing is, depending on what civil engineer, soil engineer, structural engineer that you hire, can dictate how long your permits will get through the county. Santa Cruz County is going to treat every single application that comes in the same. But it's the other entities that are signing their license away to say that this house is going to stand here, you know, and that's where things get very tricky for a lot of these people. Weren't planning on building a house in their lifetime or managing a house being built, you know, so when you're not educated in that realm, people get taken advantage of. And there's a lot of people that went out and put down payments on, you know, drawings and things like that from different civil or structural engineers, and then never got any follow-up after that.
Oh, no.
You know, so that was another thing. Contractors, too, coming in and promising and then taking a cut and leaving. You know, so I feel like a lot of the people that don't have plans yet just need a supporting cast to be able to help them, you know, understand what they're signing, what they're getting into.
Yeah.
You know, Santa Cruz County they've been great with us. I mean, it's from the inspectors to the planning department, you know, everybody's been very helpful. They want you to rebuild.
Yeah.
The other entities is what's hard. You know, you can have somebody get a soils report from a soil engineer, and then their neighbor across the street gets one from a different soil engineer, and they're going to be completely different, even though it's the same location almost.
Yeah. And that holds up the permitting process.
And I think a lot of people waste time and energy and money.
And a lot of money.
On things that don't put them in the right direction.
Yeah. But like you say, how would anyone know what to do? And they're still trying to wrap their head around what happened.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah, there's 3 pre-clearances that you need to be able to build at all, or to be able to submit plans for permits. It's CAL FIRE. It's actually zoning. It's 4 now. They added zoning. But the main ones that have been there from the beginning is CAL FIRE, which means you need to have access to your home. Or CAL FIRE fire department need to have access to your home to potentially, you know, help you if you have an emergency, which has specific requirements that are state requirements. A turnout every 1 mile, I think it is.
Yeah, those all got upgraded a couple of years ago.
And so then you think about, you know, that's where you have communities like Last Chance, for example, who that's 50 families maybe. You know, don't quote me on that, but multiple families in Last Chance, none of them can rebuild, can get permits because CAL FIRE will not sign off on the road. And so I think there's avenues for supporting those situations and looking at those roads and seeing, you know, being very specific, this is what you need to do, and this is, you know, but so far we've been unable to actually receive sort of a blueprint of, you know, a walkthrough and say, okay, you need to turn out here, you need to turn out here, and you need to turn out there. So their effective fundraising could even be done to get to a point where you can, you know, do some work, or maybe get in one of these groups, the volunteer groups that like to come in and do, you know, heavy machinery work and things like that. So there are certain things that can be done, I think, that hasn't been done. Dylan mentioned the septic tanks. Steve Holman is called out in the report. He's a neighbor of mine, lost his home in the CCU fire as well. He lives just down the road from me. He's helped roughly 50 families overcome septic issues that were roadblocks and red tape was put in front of CCU fire families, and he was able to remove them. So it is not, you know, we can't take everything that the county, the planning department says for, well, we say I'm Norwegian, so we say for good fish, which means like we can't just believe everything they say. We need to ask questions, right? We need to see, is this actually true and verifiable information, or are you looking at some different information that I am looking at, right? But again, nobody asked to build a home. We were all thrust into the situation, and we had to figure it out. So I think a lot of learning has come from this, and we have sort of a little bit more of a clearinghouse for that now. So if we had a similar situation, we know a little bit more about what questions to ask and what we could come up against. The Atkins report is mentioned in the report as well, and it is the increase in danger of debris flow after disaster goes exponentially up into the air, and then
move your microphone a little bit closer. You're fading. There we are. Thank you.
Right after a disaster, the danger, the hazard goes up, and then after 3 years, there's a scientific consensus that it goes down again. But we are still operating under the Atkins report, which is showing the immediate post-disaster levels of debris flow hazards. It would be great if that could be lower. The problem with that is that none of these properties, the majority of them, had not done any hazard modeling before their houses burned down, and so that means that they have to go in and do all that modeling on their own, which is very, very costly. So that's what the Atkins report was trying to do, is take that away from all the individual property owners, saying you don't have to pay for this because we're doing the modeling for the whole burn scar. But now it's becoming a hindrance, and again, if anyone wants to take it, say, okay, we want to take it down to current levels, they have to pay for it themselves, which is very, very costly. And it just adds to, we're looking at debris flow mitigation walls costing, and or fortified foundation costing between $200,000 and $300,000. I mean, the foundation of one of the homes that Dylan and Lydia are working on every week came in. The quote came in over $200,000, and that was a home that didn't have a foundation before the home burned down because it was built before foundations were required. So, it's just sort of a smattering of what people are up against.
Yeah. What about the county supervisors? Are they instrumental in helping move some changes, like working to waive or redo the Atkinson report?
So it's not really up to them. I think it's up to the geology department of the county. I've tried to advocate that they want to see some modeling. There is the possibility of signing a covenant saying that you absorb all, as a property owner, absorb the all responsibility if a debris flow would come and take your house and or life during a debris flow. But then the problem is, if you sign that without having a structural engineer that is willing to sign off on your house, then you need to have that lined up before you sign the covenant. Otherwise, you're going to have a really hard time finding somebody who wants to work with you. And that was it's called the Rebuild Directive. It was put in place specifically for this purpose, to allow homeowner to sign off on this. But my assessment is that it wasn't explained well enough. So some people signed it, and then they shot themselves in the foot. They couldn't find somebody to work with them after they signed it. And then, it would have been good to have ongoing communication from the county. You asked about the supervisors. Monica Martinez is new, so I have yet to sort of form a formal relationship with her. I look forward to that. I think it's very important. A lot of the fire impacted families live in her, in her district. We have a very good relationship with Justin Cummings. He's been very supportive of all of our efforts. So I don't have anything else to say about the collaboration that we have with him. We still need to move that forward with Martinez's office, but I'm confident that we'll be able to do so as well.
How can people help?
Money. Donations. Volunteers really, they're the ones that are doing the boots on the ground work. So I think if there's anybody out there that knows how to swing a hammer or wants to learn how to swing a hammer, we will take you.
Yeah. Let me give the phone number. So if people want to call, you can connect with them, answer questions. Is that all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's perfect. It would be my phone number. So I can give it out. But so 831-204 0112. Yeah, and that's me, Lydia. Yeah, any questions you have about our volunteer rebuild program, as Dylan said, you can be any sort of level of skill, and we will welcome you and be happy to have you there. And it's a good time. We're doing hard work, but it really doesn't feel like it that often.
Just bring a good attitude with you. That's all we require.
It's work from the heart, huh? Yeah.
Definitely.
Lydia, can you please give us your phone number again, where people who want to volunteer to help the Santa Cruz Long-Term Recovery Group swing a hammer and help their neighbors?
Yes, 831-204-0122.
22. All right, very good. And anybody that wants to call in to the Santa Cruz Voice studio and talk with you over the air, may I give out that number? Do you want to talk with people?
I'd love to talk to people.
All right. So, listeners, don't be shy. Feel free to call 831-265-5050. That's the Santa Cruz Voice studio number, and we'd love to hear your voice and hear what you have to say. So we'll continue. I'll now try to watch this board here. I'm not always good at technology, so I'm going to watch here. So tell us a little bit about the process. If somebody needs help and they've just found out about you, or maybe they found out about you a year ago and they're just coming to you now, what is the process?
Yeah, so we have an intake process into case management. We do have a case management program. So I think when you asked earlier, like, who are you? I went into like who was part of the steering committee of the long-term recovery group. But us as an organization right now is myself. Then we have the construction team, Lydia and Dylan. We just onboarded a new AmeriCorps member, Ari. And then we have a case manager, Bella Fogel. And we just hired a disaster services manager who is managing the disaster case management work. And her name is Magali Morales. And so that's our team. And so anyone who is coming into us for services will go through case management first, through an initial conversation where we ask, basically what happened, like what is the reason that you come here, and ask for our support, right? We want to hear your story. We want to hear how we can support you. We co-create, I should say, with all our clients what we call a realistic recovery plan. We call it a realistic recovery plan because the recovery may not necessarily look like what the client wants it to look like. It depends on a lot of factors. Not everyone is going to be able to rebuild their home. That is a fact, and it's unfortunate.
That's a hard one.
I would love for that to be true, for everyone to be able to do that, but it is not going to be possible for everyone. A lot of times due to lack of funding. We have large swaths of our community were not only underinsured, but also completely uninsured. And to build from the ground up, if you're uninsured and have you're on a fixed income is near impossible, and it's often something that we can't help with. It's the cost of construction, even with volunteer labor, is too big for that.
A lot of people have lost their insurance.
Yes, a lot of people have lost their insurance, and a lot of people are unable to afford the insurance that is provided through
the FAIR plan.
So we are, that's a fear of mine, is that we and I always say when we have another disaster, not if. We know it's going to happen again. Thinking otherwise, I think it's folly. We need to prepare for that. And so my concern is that next disaster, we're going to have many more families, many more households that are completely uninsured, and possibly more families that stay behind to try to save their homes, and ending up in very dangerous situations because they know if they leave, they may lose it. So those are
and never go back.
And so those are some of my fears. But yes, so we create this what we call a realistic recovery plan. And sort of talk through those aspects of what we can and what we cannot help them with. There are certain eligibility criteria. We work with families that earn at or below 80% of the area median income. We look at other vulnerabilities, such as, is there a disability? Is there children in the home? Is there a single parent? Mental health concerns, senior clients, fixed income, for example. So there's multiple sort of vulnerabilities that we also take into consideration, and then we build a case with them. If funding is involved or volunteer labor, we build something called an unmet needs funding case that then goes to the unmet needs roundtable, which currently Community Foundation and Valley Churches United sit on. We, even if there's no money changing hands and it's only volunteer labor, it still goes to that committee because Community Foundation is funding our work. And so we need to make sure that they feel good about, funding the projects that we present to them. So that's sort of the process that we have is getting them in. I'm really pleased that Magali Morales is with us now. She has extensive experience in trauma-informed work, so we're really incorporating more of that into our services as well, and being able to support people emotionally. We will be offering peer support groups coming up soon.
Yeah, excellent. That's excellent. It's still needed.
Yes.
I mean, 5 years may seem like a long time to some people, but it's not.
And we're only 2.5 years after the atmospheric rivers, which also
yes.
impacted a lot of people.
Oh yes, it did. It did. Oh my goodness. So people come to you and get an interview, fill out some paperwork, and it's determined if they are going to be able to move forward with your help. Let's say somebody has been trying to get a permit on their own and they're completely frustrated and they come to you for help now. Can they still, even though they've started a process, can they still come to you for help?
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes it's not even money. It's not even money or construction involved. Sometimes it's just being a fly on the wall at planning department meetings, helping decipher what are the next steps. It's such an overwhelming process if you are not familiar with it. So even we've had clients that have insurance funding that needed that hand-holding through the permitting process, and with that hand-holding, they're able to build on their own. They don't need our volunteer labor. They don't need our any funding support. We have other clients who need help with. We have one client we're still helping them with their contents report to their insurance company to get their complete payout, even if they're still back in their home. So in a sense, they're recovered, but they're in a financially strained situation because they haven't gotten their full insurance payout yet. So, recovery is not, recovery looks different for every person. Even if it may look the same from the outside to people, or they're building their homes, right? Okay, it's the same. No, every case is very, very different, and recovery is not streamlined. It's very, it takes all kinds of twists and turns, and we're there for all of it, and we're learning along with our clients. We don't know, knowing recovery is not possible because every client is a new client, every story is a new story, and every need is a new need, right? There's some similarities, but we're still learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and off of what Tanya was saying, and what you asked about with people coming in needing assistance, we do offer some subcontractors that we use that help us out, give us lower costs. One being our electrician, high performance electrician. They are donating the labor. They will pay for the materials, but they will come out. So it's almost like a professional volunteer that can come out and help. We've had Julio Family Roofing out of San Jose give us really good prices, pretty much taking away the labor costs to it. And that also helps out with the process. If somebody's short on funds and they need their panel upgrade or something like that, that's somebody we can send to them that could also help with keeping the cost down. So if there are listeners out there that are contractors that also want to help, that would be another way that they can help us out.
Yeah.
And or if they have inventory sort of towards the end of the year or towards the end of a project, they have some
Building materials.
inventory sitting around that they're not going to be utilizing, we will take it. We have four shipping containers strategically placed in the San Lorenzo Valley that we can store materials at. So please don't be shy. We will accept any and all donations.
Wow. And if a contractor wants to sign up to help, do they call you, Lydia? Same number? Or who should a contractor call for either materials donations or to donate their labor?
Yeah, I mean, they could call me as well at that same number, 831-204-0. Whoa, now I'm forgetting.
122?
Thank you.
This is the number
It's
I
my
wrote
work-
down here.
It's my work number, so sometimes I forget it. But yeah, and I mean, I would likely then kind of direct them to Dylan and things like that in terms of if they're coming out to perform labor. But yeah,
Yeah.
really anything and everything.
Thank you. I'm going to give out our studio number one more time. If anyone wants to call Santa Cruz Voice Community Matters, it's 831-265-5050. Tanya, did you have something you wanted to say?
I just want to say we also have a contact form on our website, which is Santa Cruz County Long-Term Recovery Group, so SCCLTRG, it's the acronym for that, .org. SCCLTRG.org. There's a contact form, and so anyone who wants to get in touch with us for any reason whatsoever, I monitor that, and so that's a great way of getting in touch with us as well. And usually responses will come within 48 hours. So
Excellent.
don't be shy. We're also on Facebook. You can message us there.
Wow, that's very responsive to people who probably have waited weeks and weeks for an appointment.
Oh, we
to
have a
try.
disaster case management intake form on our website as well. So if anyone's out there and need our, disaster case management services, please go ahead and fill that form out. That's a really good way for us to get a little bit of preliminary information about the case so that we can prepare before we meet as well.
Yeah. Tanya, you mentioned that you are a neighbor of Steve Homan. Did your home burn?
It sure did. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
Where I call our family. I call us the lucky of the unlucky ones. We had just bought our home in April of 2020, and it burned down in August. So because of that, our insurance was pretty much up to date. We also didn't have, like Steve Holman, 40 years, in a house to build memories. It was fairly new to us. So yes, we lost all of our belongings, but we didn't have an attachment to the house itself. So that I think that made it easier for us. We had just invested in this property. Really, there was no other option for us than to brush off and rebuild. Otherwise, we would have walked away from our investment. So the decision process of what to do next came to us fairly easily. So we were able to get moving pretty quickly. Our septic was fine, our well was fine. We're on a slab of granite, so we didn't have any debris flow issues. Our road was fine. So none of those pre-clearance issues that I mentioned before applied to us. So we got after it right away. It was very streamlined for us, and we were number 9 to get the final occupancy permit, and we've been home for over 3 years now.
Wow.
But I'm really fortunate that I get to utilize the experience I have. Even if it was streamlined, we still had to go through the planning process and all of those things, and I get to utilize that experience in my day-to-day work.
You understand. You understand. Not that, I don't know, were either of you affected by the CZU fire or the 2023 storms?
Not directly with the fire. The storms, yeah, that was a hectic time for me and my family, but the fire, we were on the eastern side of Highway 9, so we were spared, but a lot of family and friends, and like I said prior, I was working in volunteer construction prior to long-term recovery group, and seeing a lot of family and friends struggling with losing their home and kind of being tied up and not being able to help kind of really pushed me into this form of work of, rebuilding in my community.
Yeah.
Trying to help out my neighbors, as any way that we can.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's just, cooking somebody a meal,
Yeah.
Can go a long way.
Yeah, that is really true.
And if anybody wants to cook lunch and bring to our volunteers any Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every week, contact Lydia.
Oh, I would like to do that.
They would love it. Oh my gosh.
I would love it too.
I used to do that with my kids for Habitat for Humanity,
nice.
and it was really fun.
Yeah.
My kids loved it, and it really felt good, as you said.
Yeah,
to
it's
help
another
support.
way to help, definitely.
Yeah.
No sign of help goes unnoticed.
All right. Well, the cooks out there unite. We're down to about 10 minutes already. Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned in this journey?
Gosh.
What have you learned?
I think Tanya said it already. It's recovery doesn't look the same for everybody.
Yeah.
Trying to, sometimes you are meaning well with what you're doing and trying to help, but sometimes it's not received that way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes just the littlest thing like cooking a meal, people will rally behind that, So I think that's for me.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Lydia?
Yeah, I would say, something I've learned, but something I think that I've witnessed and maybe has been the most impressive to me is just the resilience of the people and the victims of the fire and even the storms too. But I think I see more closely sort of the fire victims and the two clients that we're rebuilding for. It's been 5 years, and, one of our clients went through the fire and then also with the storms had really ginormous landslide that derailed their project basically from the ground up, was taken advantage of by, sort of some engineers or, a lot of sort of factors outside of their control, and that they're still, living on their property and wanting to rebuild their home and being such an active part of that. So, every journey is a little bit different, but I still think that, that's the thing I think I've witnessed the most and been the most sort of impressed by, and it's really easy to want to support those people and to want to meet them where they're at, because it's a very difficult journey. I haven't gone through it myself, but you can tell, and I think that, being there to support them through that and kind of the ups and downs of it, it's kind of easy when you see, that the end goal is somewhat near and how long and hard that they've been working towards it. So I think that's the thing that sticks with me.
Yeah, the persistence that they are showing. Yeah. How about you, Tanya?
Gosh, what have I learned? I think someone said once that, the more you know that you don't know, right? And so you're just, it's sort of that. It's disaster recovery work is a Pandora's box. Once you open it, it's just, it just leads you in all kinds of different directions. I've certainly learned a lot about my community. I'm a Norwegian transplant. I moved here in 2003, and so even though I've lived in rural areas in Norway, and I've lived in the mountains for the most part since I moved to Santa Cruz County. I've learned a lot about my community and how diverse it is. Even in, when we're talking CCU fire now, even if it's in the northern part of Santa Cruz County, it can from the outside it can look more homogeneous than other parts of the county, but it's very diverse. There's people in all kinds of walks of life and all kinds of different situations that I was not privy to, and I didn't know them necessarily in those capacities. So those personal connections has been a big learning experience for me. I'm also surprised. I think that's maybe one of the things that I've learned. I'm surprised at how quickly the media dies down after a disaster, and how important it is to keep the momentum so right now we're sort of still feeding on the momentum of the 5-year anniversary, right? And so I think that's just sort of a prompt, it's important for our community, whether you were impacted by the storms, whether you were impacted by the fire, to not feel forgotten. And I think that's one of the roles that we have when we do phone outreach and we talk to people. That's one of the things I keep hearing, like, thank you so much for calling. Even if you're not able to help me, I don't feel forgotten. Yeah. And so, if you know somebody who was impacted by these disasters, reach out to them, talk to them, show them that you remember that this still, it still matters for them. That's going to go a long way.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. So how can we help? I'm going to bring a meal.
Yay.
How else can people help? And I know that the need is great. Talk with us about what you need as volunteers, what time commitment you would prefer. Have you reached out to Cabrillo Community College building programs? I'm also thinking about the California Conservation Corps. They have required hours.
We actually have, we have 4 AmeriCorps, 2 AmeriCorps and 2 California Corps Emergency Response Corps members that are coming for 10-month time at 10 months at a time. So we have 2 community resource navigators that will work directly with clients from CERC, and then we have a supply and logistics and project lead coordinator that we're still hiring for. So that's one way you can help if you are someone who would like to work with us for 10 months on a stipend. You won't make a lot of money, but you'll make really good friends. Then we are still hiring for that, so please be in touch for that. We're interviewing for that position next week. I got off the track with whatever the question was. But
how can we help? What kind of help do you need?
We, funding is for real. So funding can be funneled to the community foundation. Funding staff. Staff is the biggest expense that we have. We have startup funds guaranteed for 1 more year, starting in January through December of 2026.
Is that through the Community Foundation?
Yes, Community Foundation, and then we have a 1-year funding allocation from the county, which we will be advocating for to extend that, possibly augment if we lose funding from Community Foundation. There's a lot of work to be done, and so how can people help? Come out, swing the hammers, donate building materials. You can donate funding directly to us as well. We do use Zelle. It's on our website. It would go directly to support our operations. You can sign up to volunteer other things, to do other things. We have phone campaigns. We certainly have administrative tasks. So if you're not someone who feel like you can go in the field and swing a hammer, we can get you busy. So, there's lots. We don't have enough money to hire the amount of staff that we need. Volunteer.
Okay. We're down to 1 minute. So, Dylan, what would you like to say?
Echoing what Tanya says, and Lydia's going to laugh at me when I say this, but volunteering doesn't have to just stop at the work site. There's definitely need for admin support and, lunches and things like that, or building materials. I think also passing the word around. People need to know about what we're doing.
Yeah.
More people that know what we're doing, the more assistance we can get.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Lydia.
Oh, I don't have much new to say, but I think we always come up against the issue of, wish we had more time in a day, more time in a week. We all work a decent amount more than 40 hours a week.
I'm sure you do.
It's not nearly enough. So volunteering on the work site allows us just to spread out and go to more sites and help more people, help more winter storm and spring storm victims too, is something we're working towards. So I'd say that's a huge one. But any other skill or asset you have that you want to bring as a volunteer would be more than welcome. So.
I'm sure you'll find a place for anybody that wants. And going to your website, give us that one more time. We're down to 30 seconds.
sccltrg.org.
And that stands for Santa Cruz County Long-Term Recovery Group.org. Tanya, Lydia, Dylan, thank you so much for taking time to be here and all the good work you do to help our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. That's it.
That was, right
Wow. Thank you.